Now, that is a win I don't think we'll ever get tired of talking about. Richard Skinner from Local12.com, former Bengals kicker Doug Pelfrey. Let's talk about the poll question first. Who gets the game ball? Mike Nugent, special teams, defensive line with those 4 sacks. Andy Dalton, great fourth quarter and overtime. And Eifert, he's been a stud. Great part for me is I get to do both on Local12.com, but I only get one here. If you include what Adam Jones did on special teams, because those returns really sparked things, I might go there. But Andy Dalton was 10 of 11 in the fourth quarter. I mean, he got things right when he had to get them right. It was 3 or 4 in the overtime. They really didn't need him. But, man, 10 of 11 in the fourth quarter. Then to make the check for the quarterback sneak, I'm going to give it to Andy Dalton. Your thoughts?
I would typically go with Skinny with this one being Andy Dalton was so good down the stretch. But to me, I'm going to go with Nugent just for the fact that
because you're a kicker.
Because I'm a kicker, and it allows us to go for 2 of them. So,
exactly.
The idea. He basically came through when he needed to. I mean, to rush on the field there at the end of the game and hit that, but then also to come back and just to play like he did. I thought he did fine. Such a great win. But after the Bengals scored that first touchdown, they really struggled offensively. 5 punts, that interception, a fumble. It was the Seattle defense that we thought we'd see today.
Yeah, I mean, the first drive, Kerry Williams was just horrible on defense, and they finally decided, all right, Richard Sherman, usually he plays one side of the field. They said, no, you're going wherever A.J. Green goes, and it really kind of shut everything down. They couldn't run the ball really until the overtime, late in regulation in the overtime period, and that just eliminated everything. And then all of a sudden, it just kind of steamrolled the other way, and Seattle's offense did just enough. Then they had the fumble return for a touchdown, and you look up, it's 24-7, largely because your offense struggled.
I was really confused at why, we had so much success that first drive, first couple drives, and then we just went totally away from it. Here you have a chance where we're starting to roll the pocket a little bit. We just kept going in the same thing. He kept dropping back, he kept getting hit, and we just kept running the same plays and kept dinking and dunking and try to hand the ball off, and we weren't doing anything that was going to change the game. And so, to me, what was impressive to me is that we won this game when we really played the first quarter and then a little bit of the fourth quarter. You hit on it about Dalton, 13 of 15 in the fourth quarter and overtime, 135 yards. They struggled for a large chunk of this game, but we've seen a different Andy Dalton. He was composed, he was in control, and he led them on a couple of really important drives. I mean, you grew up in an era when John Elway was making all those comebacks, and so did I. And he'd be terrible for 2.5 quarters, and suddenly in the fourth quarter, he'd be a different guy. That's what winning quarterbacks do. He went into this game leading the NFL in fourth quarter passer rating. He obviously did nothing today to diminish that. That tells me that's a quarterback that's growing up, because this isn't just one time now. This is really twice, because he did it a lot in the Baltimore game. Yeah, exactly. I think, too, I think the city needs to realize, first of all, one of our big Achilles heels is that we don't play the same from behind. And to me, I think a huge difference for Andy Dalton was when you're playing at home, you need that home crowd to stay behind you. And I think right now when we get behind, you can start hearing it's a nervous Andy. Yeah. Everybody talk about good Andy, bad Andy. I think you see a nervous Andy, and I think the only time I don't like and a nervous crowd, and everybody's waiting for something to go wrong. But to me, Andy's a competitor. I think he throws the ball. He throws a nice ball. He knows the game. He knows where he's supposed to go with it. When he presses is when we see the bad Andy that everybody. Let's talk special teams, because they were special today. You talked about Adam Jones, but Darren Simmons did such a great job with those guys. And Mike Nugent comes on. Those are tough conditions, as you well know. You're scrambling, but he drilled a couple of really big field goals. Right, without a doubt. And I was telling somebody earlier today, it's hard you practice it all the time. We called it white field goal, where everybody kind of runs out on the field. And to have to do that, it's a lot tougher than you realize, because you get a lot of false starts. The kicker doesn't, part of it's just a groove of trying to, feel when you feel comfortable, and that's when you go.
Yeah, Nugent even talked after the game about he got a chance to actually take the steps he needed, as opposed to just going to a spot and then hoping it was the right thing. He said, I had enough time to at least do that. That had to be big.
Without a doubt. But, he has a ball that kind of goes right to left anyway, and, when he hit the upright on the one at the end, it just was going his way, and it was a big day for him. When you see plays like that, you get the sense this is a special team, this is a special year. All the little things they've done in the 5 wins are what champion teams have to have in their psyche, in their memory bank.
No question. I mean, if you look at some of they've dominated a couple of opponents they should have dominated the times they did it. Come back in Baltimore after it looked like you were going to blow them away, then the adversity of that, and then today, and then you can argue it was a little lucky doink off the upright, but it was, they did every little thing that they had to do, and back to the special teams. Adam Jones with 2 big returns, one that really got the whole comeback sparked.
35-yarder.
Exactly, that sparked it. Then the 19-yarder that got him in a good place to start field position in that overtime. I mean, all that stuff starts to add up. You look and say, defense did it when they had to, Andy did it when he had to, special teams did it when they had to. That's all 3 phases.
Yeah, for every part of the team that struggled early, they all came back and played well when they needed to.
Yeah, and they won a big game, in front of a national audience. You had Troy Aikman and Joe Buck.
That's still a good team. That's still a good team.
And they had a swagger about them. Anytime you play a Super Bowl champion, they have a swagger. So.
Let's talk about the Bengals defense, because they were so good in that fourth quarter and in overtime. Russell Wilson was just snuffed out there.
Yeah, and so was the running game. I mean, Thomas Rawls Vols did a really good job for a good chunk of the game. It seemed like they got away from that. I know Pete Carroll was asked after the game, and he said, no, we thought we were still doing the things that we were doing the first 3 quarters. I think some of it is the guys up front started to win some battles. They flushed Russell Wilson a few times, and usually we've seen him, he makes plays. Yeah. The secondary did a good job of staying on coverage and not making plays. They got a little lucky one time in the overtime. Russell hung a ball that Dre Kirkpatrick and George Iloka got back on, because for a second when you looked down the field, you went, uh-oh, that's a touchdown, and it hung just enough. So you got to get a little lucky there too. But I thought they started winning the battles they needed to win.
Yeah.
And he's such a hard quarterback to defend against, because the play you're talking about, you saw Dre come running forward because he looked like he was going to run.
And then realized, uh-oh, I better get back.
And then he took off, and the ball hung just a little bit for him, so they did get lucky on that. But such a tough quarterback. I'm not sure Russell Wilson's that quarterback like a Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers that can carry a franchise, but he's a solid quarterback.
Let's look forward, because the schedule, although it's the toughest supposedly in the NFL, it really favors them right now. They go on the road to Buffalo next week, a bye after that, and then they've got a game at the Steelers after that. It shapes up pretty good right now.
Well, and you got the Browns still twice. You got Baltimore coming back to here. You got St. Louis coming back. I mean, you've got it. It does shape up right. You could argue, will there be a letdown in Buffalo with a bye ahead? Maybe, but if you win that to go 6-0, be fairly healthy, you would hope, coming into a bye, and guess what? Coming out of the bye, you might get your best defensive player back. In all likelihood, you will in Vontaze Burfict. You can't have the scenario shape up any better than that.
Skinny seems so positive these days. My goodness.
We
used to come here and you'd always talk about me drinking the Kool-Aid, and now I think Skinny's ready to.
It is amazing though to see what they've done.
It's fun, and it makes it fun for this city has been wanting a winner, and it's a shame that right now we're kind of glossing past it and saying, well, let's see what happens to the first round of the playoffs instead of enjoying this, because it is a special kind of a prance through the NFL. So far.
You have to live in the moment, or you never get to the future and enjoy it.
I think that's the fear of everybody. Everybody has a hard time living in the moment, though. They're always looking 3 months down the road. And I think there's a lot of fans still, unfortunately, looking there.
Yeah, guys, as always, great stuff.
Thanks very much.